Okay, so today we're going to be talking about gesture drawing as part of our figure drawing unit. And a gesture drawing is the sort of essence of the movement of a drawing, and it's what we often build upon when we do a figure drawing. So they will be kind of minimal when we first start. A few problems that people run into in gesture drawing is either cramming their page or distorting the figure. So that's what I'm going to cover today. Most of our first gestures will be a minute. This is my daughter, Margaret.
Hello.
Alright, can you make a pose for me? Okay. So usually I like to start by showing myself the length of the pose. If you have newsprint, you can do this on newsprint, but you can also use your regular drawing paper. Already I'm realizing that I'm running out of room for her feet, so I'm going to notice the next time I start that I want to make sure I make room for the feet turn to move your head. You're not looking for details yet. You're simply trying to get the proportions and the essence of the pose. So I'm not looking for facial features and depth here. I'm really looking to correct myself and find the form. Okay, you can stop that pose. So this one, I stretched her right here and I ran out of room for her feet. So the next time we start, I'm going to make sure that I show myself where the top of the head or the furthermost top part, the head, and the feet are, and then work in between. Can you give me a new pose? And for these quick ones, you can draw on top of them if you want to conserve paper. That's interesting. Okay, so I'm going to start with her head is there, and her arms are out. There's that point of tension in her dress. And now I can see what your foot's doing, but and kind of keep moving around so you don't get stuck in one spot. So if you get stuck in one spot, it's really easy to start filling in details and kind of lose.
So you can go move a bit.
And I'm still finding myself distorting things, but this is why we do these 1 minute practices, is so that you can kind of find what your habits are. Usually you'll find you always stretch things out or you always compress things. So once you start doing it, you can stop the quiz. Once you start doing these, you'll realize what your sort of habits are, and then you can kind of correct yourself as you move along. With 1 minute gestures, you're never going to get super detailed, and that's okay. If we move on to 5 minutes, which I'm not going to make her do, but I've posted some video poses that you can use that are 5 and 10 minute increments. You'll find that it feels like an eternity compared to the 1 minute. Can we do a little bit longer one?
Yeah.
Just as long as to maybe pick something that you feel like you can hold for a minute, longer than a minute.
How about this?
Can you put your hand on your sassy pose? Okay. I'm not sure how long we'll hold this, but if you start with a little bit more time, you'll find that it's easier. So I'm still doing all the same stuff though. I'm looking for the top and the bottom, trying to check my proportions so I don't compress or. And you can also cite with your charcoal or your pencil if you're trying to figure out where things are.
Painters actually do that with their paintbrushes.
Yeah, with paintbrushes, yeah. So move. Thank you. I'm still not looking for super details. Are you looking at yourself in that picture frame over there? So I probably wouldn't even find, real facial features until a longer pose than this even. Doing great. Can you hang on to it for a minute, Margo?
Yep. This is really fun.
This is fun. I'm glad it's fun. You can also look for areas of tension, like where there's wrinkles or if there's a lot of movement. This isn't a super high movement pose, but there's like some tension where her wrist bends and her elbow bends that you can try to find and correct. And if you make corrections here, we're working in charcoal and we're working quickly, so you're not going to be stopping and erasing. You're going to draw right back on top of what you're doing.
Another place where there's tension is like in the middle of the dress where it goes down.
Where the wrinkles are. Like this arm, I didn't get that shape quite right, so I'm going to correct it. Try not to move your head, okay? Still not really going for like the facial features here, just trying to.
Really, it's a good quick draw.
It's a quick
Like
try not to talk. But we're getting, they're getting in there. I'm still trying to move around and also look at negative space. So I can see when I look at her that there's a big triangle between her body and her arm on my drawing that wasn't quite as big. So I can look at those negative spaces and realize that, oh, that's a little too wide. So I'm going to bring that back. And the last thing to think about with this drawing before I let you move is some of those areas of tension may also be areas where you use heavier weight of line. So you can look for, creases in the body where there's like a darker weight of line, and that may help you kind of express the tension that's there or value that's there. Sometimes when we make corrections, you might end up with, a figure that has 2 arms or 2 heads, or the hand gets redrawn, multiple times in an effort to figure it out, and that is okay. 5 feet, that's a lot of feet. I'm still working on this hand shape. But keeping moving around your page, also that brings up a really good, another point about errors is that you may find in your habits as a draftsperson that you chop off feet or you run out of room for the head. In class, if we were in person, I would be walking around going like, you're missing the feet, you're missing the head, so you're going to have to say that to yourself. Okay, so that one is done.